The Leo and Danny Show. And Chet, I'm glad you're here. You're a ghost expert because there has been some paranormal activity already around this studio. For real? Yeah, absolutely. There's something going on with our producer's hair.
Danny, if it's real or if you're joking.
No, this is real, Chad. This is real.
Gotta remember he's a fan.
We just spoke to Sandrine on the phone, who you might know, and she had to
Vegas
leave
video.
her job at McDonald's early because of misaligned chakras. And I feel like the problem is emanating from this studio.
I agree. There's something very strange about it. I mean, if the Ghostbusters were real, we would have called them already.
I can't hear you, Chad. You got to talk right into that motherfucker.
check.
There we go.
There
A
it
little
is.
louder.
Okay.
There we go.
Have you witnessed anything odd yourself around here?
Yeah.
Like what?
We saw a cockroach on that step just a moment ago.
Damn it, it's gone.
And also, we acquired this house under mysterious circumstances. A lady lived here. I believe she died. And then Invitation Homes, a giant corporation, came and bought up the house and started renting it to us. Did she die in this very room, Chet? I don't know.
Was it? Wait a second. So she died in here. She didn't have any family to leave the house to.
Nope.
How long was she dead in here? It could have been months.
I'm not sure. And I was hoping the utmost, as you say,
foremost,
ghost expert in the
yes.
world could help us.
Well, when we get called, I shouldn't say we because I'm not, with the team anymore doing it. But especially when I was younger, coming up doing it, one of the first things you'll do is when you get called to a place. I mean, you dig back in the deeds, the history, like all that stuff to try to find out what exactly happened in that location. And it would be important to know where it happened.
Yeah.
And usually, well, it's weird because when you talk about hauntings, it could be a lot of different things, right? Like if somebody hears footsteps upstairs that shouldn't be up there, they call that ghost, right? If you set your keys down and a few seconds later you go back and they're gone, you're like, whoa, they call that a ghost, right? Most paranormal things that happen are completely benign, happen all the time. People deal with them every day and don't really stop to think about it other than to say that's odd.
Gotcha.
When there's negative things that happen, when people feel like this is trying to scare me or it is scaring me, probably about 80% of the time, we found that someone did in fact pass away. And typically it's like an unatoned type tragedy, like someone got away with it. Or like there was nothing much done after the fact.
An unsolved
and then
murder
the more
or
and more
something.
you dig into it, you find out that there is in fact some really weird shit that went on that no one's really talking about.
Yeah.
And this is a reoccurable thing. I mean, this is, man, I've been all over the world doing this. And this is just a reoccurable thing.
Yeah.
Or you will find people that secretly, on their own, are dabbling in, dark art practices and the occult. And I would always tell people, you don't have to believe in that stuff. It doesn't require your belief.
Right.
It doesn't.
It's
doesn't,
happening,
Yeah,
though.
it doesn't matter. It's going on,
Right.
So you don't have to believe in, good or God and the devil or anything like that. I think everybody can agree that there's evil in the world and there's good in the world.
Absolutely.
And the world is amazing. I mean, we're one big magnetic ball flying through this ever-expanding blackness of question. I mean, wrap your mind around that to start with.
Right.
Right? So when it comes to things like ghosts and stuff, I really honestly think a lot of it is future science, things that we will figure out, dimensional things. I think a lot of hauntings are actually not dead people, but alternate dimensions, string theory, things like that. So there's a lot, to all of this. But if there's something going on in this place, I would start with the past, dig into the past.
Is there a most famous haunting incident where a family was slaughtered by a husband with an axe? And is there a most documented case of something like that?
Yeah, I did a documentary on it called The First Amityville.
Oh.
In Iowa, in Villisca, Iowa, there's what's known as the Villisca Axe Murder House. And it was the same exact tragedy that happened in Amityville, except in Amityville, supposedly Ronnie DeFeo went in with a gun, and they were trying to figure out how did one person with a shotgun or with a rifle kill, his entire family without anybody ever leaving their bed.
Right.
The same thing happened in Villisca, Iowa, except it was with an axe. Jesus. And actually, the youngest, there was 6 kids that were killed. Oh, my 2 parents, God. 3-bedroom house. The youngest child was hit with the blunt side of the axe 42 times. You want to know how they knew how many times it was hit?
Sure.
Because the upswing put divots in the ceiling.
What is
So you can count the
wrong?
divots.
What the
Well, Leo,
fuck?
sometimes the kids don't do their homework.
Both
Damn,
guys in that
42 times? I mean, I get it once. Now he's dead.
Come home with a C- again, motherfucker. I dare you.
He's never going to
Both
go to school
guys
again.
in that case, when they asked them, how did you do this? Both of them, 72 years apart, how many states apart, said a black figure came to me and said, I will show you how. In the case of the Villisca Action House, they said the black figure actually said, "I will show you how, but suffer the children unto me," meaning I'll show you how with the kids, then you do it with the parents. So
King Croc was starting to talk me into killing people when he was
What?
a black figure.
Well, he is black. He is black.
So both the surviving husbands who took out the entire family, that was their explanation to the authorities.
well, then one was a son, was Ronnie DeFeo in Amityville. That's what he said happened. And then in Iowa, it was a local priest that shocked everybody that came forward named George Jacqueline Kelly. And he said he did it. What's crazy is his attorney argued him into a hung jury, and he walked because he was a known alcoholic.
What?
And he's sitting there saying, "I did it. I did it."
Yeah.
And they said,
What the
his jury
fuck?
said, "Can't believe him.
Yeah.
He's a known drunk."
Coors Brewing Company did it.
There you
You got a problem with that, Leo?
They're responsible for it.
That's incredible. All right, I have a question. What is the one time that you think is undeniable proof that you witnessed something paranormal in your experiences, or more than once?
When it comes to the paranormal, as far as things moving,
Yeah.
I give you a bunch of examples about that. But the one thing that I would tell you that really shocked me the most is, for a long time, years into investigating, I was not a full believer of this demonic concept. The idea that a spirit could take someone over and then exert this super incredible control over them. Well, I did a case, it would have been 2008, and it was in Quincy, Illinois. And it was this, it ended up being filmed for Paranormal State, and it was called I Am 6. And I wasn't there for the first time they went there. And I watched it on TV, and this girl did a bunch of weird stuff, but I didn't see anything that would convince me that another creature was inside of her, a demon per se. I ended up being a part of the show starting season 2, and the co-star or the star of the show, Ryan, Buell, said to me, "Listen, I'm going to show you some stuff we can't show on the air. You've got to see what's going on here," because I was very skeptical to him about it. And there were photos of like Latin written backwards, carved into the inside of her legs.
What?
And
Why do
things that
all
were just-
ghosts speak Latin?
It's weird. I think that's something to do with Aramaic, like the first spoken language of Christ.
Right. Those are The
which-
Exorcist.
Yeah, it's really weird. And it does happen a lot. It's really weird. And I don't know why it would be Aramaic over anything else,
Jesus, you saw this.
No, yeah, I saw it.
And why can't they show that on the air?
Well, it's A&E. I mean, it's
It's a family show.
It's for privates, man, like exposed, On A&E, they're not going to show that,
I'm sure you want to see this, Danny. Would you jerk off those photos, you sick fuck?
Don't put me on the spot like this.
I knew it. He likes jerking off to weird things.
The show
Chad.
is called I'm 6, right?
He might have a demon in
That
him.
was
He
the name
jerks
of the
off to this
episode.
woman barfing all over herself with a guy's cock down her throat. That's his favorite porn.
Well, there-
on her big breasts. I don't get
Maybe
it,
we
Chad.
should send Chad in to investigate.
I think Chad needs to investigate your room right now and tell it there's demons in there.
That'd be hilarious. I tell Molly, she's like, "I don't see what the haunting is. What's the problem?"
Yeah.
Hey, Chad, it's awesome that you're a fan also, by the way. Thank you for
Oh,
following
I'm a
us.
huge fan. Been listening for a long time.
What's
you
up,
guys,
Chad?
I think you guys have crazy amounts of courage for what you do out in the public.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Anyways, but
So Latin carved with a knife, with a pen?
it looked like,
No, it was her
appeared-
skin from the inside?
It appeared to me that it had been carved with either a knife or actually, I thought maybe a pen with blue ink because it was pretty pronounced. And I was just like, Jesus, bro. I'm like, what?
What did
hell?
it say in Latin?
You know what? I would be guessing if I could remember what he told me it said, but it was something to the effect of, it was a name that was pronounced in the demonic world of, the demonic has like legions of demons with all kinds of different names. And it was some name that was pronounced, written across that area. And he told me there's a big side to this case that we can't really talk about on the air. And a lot of it has to do with sexual things that are happening in the bedroom to this girl. And I'm just like going, what the hell? So when we showed up, first off, she's tiny. I mean, I walk in and she's maybe weighs 90 pounds soaking wet.
How old?
Like, she was 23. She had Marfan.
So I would jerk off to the photos of her
You
inside.
sick son of a bitch.
I didn't know how old she was this whole time. It was only back.
she was
So
23.
sorry.
She
Still
looked,
on the
she
sexual
looked,
aspects of this. I'm sorry, Chad.
Well, she looked like she was 15. She had Marfan syndrome, which no one really knew the thing, but that's a bone disease, like oh God, Abraham Lincoln had Marfan syndrome. It causes your fingers to get elongated and your chest bones to grow really fast, and you have a shortened lifespan if it's untreated. And so when I showed up, it was really weird because she wanted to avoid me, and I think I know why, because I became a believer in this stuff because my mother had a demonic experience, which is what blew my whole mind. Because I was a born and raised atheist. My dad's a career Air Force man. I'm a science guy, you know. So when you see things that you just can't process, it sends you down. It sent me down the road. But anyways, back to this case. She didn't want to like talk to me or go near me, and I was just kind of like, what is going on? So before anything started, I said, let's go down and show me around this place. And they took me down into the basement. And I'm telling you, man, the second I went down there, it's one of those indescribable things unless you're there. You walk in and you just feel like a weight to the room, almost like literally like the barometric pressure changed or something. I was just like, and I was super quiet, and this was all filmed. And, you know, Ryan says to me, dude, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, dude, I just feel like there's something everywhere. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm just like, I don't know. I'm freaking out right now. And at that time, it felt like a human being, not like anything, like if you just grabbed my hand and like tried to pull it. So you could see me on film, like freak out from that. And then I come back up and he's like, what happened? What happened? I'm like, dude, I don't know. And then like, as he's coming towards me, it was pushed, but it didn't feel like two hands pushed me. If you took like a giant, like a balloon and filled it with air, big surface area, it just went like against you. That's what it felt like. When that happened, I experienced something that I never believed in before too. And it's called diabolical confusion. It's which for a quick second, you don't really know where you're at. Your vision doesn't work that well. You can't think that well. And you can see me trying to like process this on film. And at that time, there's two ways I could go. There's one way up the stairs that is out, and there's another room to the left of me. I turned to walk around to the left of me, and you could hear, Ryan going, dude, do not go in there. Don't go in there. I walked in there. That room had tons of gardening blades just hanging on this wall. Oh my God. Last place you want to go, like in that, but I couldn't process like what was going on. So I went out. I mean, I shut down production, everything. I was like, hey, listen, like, stop. Like, I got to figure out what is going on here. So I went outside and I was like just freaking out, man. Just like guys, like I've never personally had something touch me or I've heard many people say it. And a lot of times, I hate to say this, but I'm like the most skeptical believer you've ever met. It's kind of like, unless it happens to me, I can't really wrap my mind around it, which I understand with skeptics. So I go back in, and the amount of weird stuff that I saw, for example, there was one time, by the way, she's avoiding me this whole time. She's sleeping in a room, and we have cameras on her 24/7. And I don't know what the line was for A&E to decide what they want to release and what they don't. But they always had the decision to do it. But there was one piece of footage I argued for, and she was laying down under this blanket, and you could see both her hands. Right. And the blanket's up by her neck and she's sleeping. There's a camera in the corner. Her body started moving under the blanket, but it looked like she was slithering, if that makes sense. It just started moving in this like tonal way. And I was just like, Jesus, what is going on? And I'm getting closer and closer, and I'm looking at the screen. I'm going, what is moving under there? And from her side, and they showed this part in the episode, she just flies straight up, and her eyes just stares right into that camera. She holds it for like I think it was 11 or 12 minutes.
What the fuck?
And then just falls back down.
Wow.
Like over.
That's so creepy.
But that still wasn't the final thing that freaked me out. What freaked me out is we were down again. We decided we're going to go back into this basement and try to deal with whatever was down there. And they're trying to get me to go back down there. And I was like, fuck, man, I don't want to go back down there. So right when we get to the bottom of the basement, we hear this girl's mom screaming from the top floor where Laura's at from her room. And she says, Ryan, you need to come up here. She's not breathing. And I just follow him because my job on that show was just to document. It was not to get involved with the family or anything. We get to the very, very top of the stairs, and Ryan's not like a big muscular guy or anything, but he's a grown man. She's maybe 90 pounds, and her neck is just like puffed out. I mean, it looks like a puffer fish. It's just weird. It's just like blue, and she's not breathing. What the fuck? And Ryan starts, he's a devout Catholic. I'm not. He starts reciting, I think it was St. Michael's prayer. And he goes to pick her up. And the first time you see it on film, he can't. And then he goes to pick her up again, and he's struggling hard as hell. You can see the veins popping his neck from struggling to pick her up. And one of the things they always say about demonically possessed people is that their weight becomes massive, like 3, 4, 5 times what it should be, and that they're very heavy. I've never believed that. When he was doing that, I grabbed the back of her leg and pulled up. That girl weighed a ton. And I just stepped back. It just shocked me. I was like, oh my God. That was one of the most crazy things that I personally witnessed myself.
And how is that woman doing today? The 23-year-old possessed
From what I
girl?
heard, very bad.
What's going on now?
Well, I took a lot of heat on that show because what I realized is she had a crush on Ryan, who was like the head of the show. And I finally just said, she doesn't want help, bro.
We should go film with her. And
Like-
Leo should meet her.
Dude,
I'd
be down.
Would you
Can
get
we go
blown?
film with
Would
her?
you get blown by a girl with a demon?
Stop
in
it, dude. For the content, absolutely, Danny.
Are demons sexually transmitted, Chad?
Are demons?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I got
Yeah.
blown by her, would I then have a demon in me? I mean, Danny would just film. Dude, how often would you film if I had a demon in me?
You know, I
If
think that's one of those things that it would
Demon
take.
co-host on a podcast would be tight.
It would take future experimentation to know. I don't know.
exactly.
I mean,
You just imagine
I mean,
all of a sudden-
there are incubus and succubus, which are ghosts that have sex with men and women.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been on one of
Really?
those cases before. Yeah,
Danny would-
Incubus, they flap down and they fuck chicks.
How awesome is that? What if like you were like, what if you just got mouth fucked by a ghost out of nowhere?
I would be. If I got woken up in the middle of the night by a ghost blowing me.
Yeah,
there's
that's not a big
probably a
deal.
20-second period where I'd be like, "This is pretty cool." Like I wouldn't be able to know that it was a ghost or not.
Yeah.
But then once it dawned on me that
Yeah.
it had like a giant gash over its eye and
Yeah.
it like its ribs were
Have
showing.
you guys seen the Entity, the movie about that, the incubus and succubus?
No.
There's actually a scene where it's like you can
Really?
really see her mouth just going on.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, the Entity. It's
That's
about
funny.
a very famous case about an incubus.
Yeah. And so you said she's not doing well today. What does that mean?
So
and
what
have you heard?
happened
Where
is-
is this, by the way? Which city?
Quincy, Illinois.
It's
So
always
the-
sketchy, like third-rate cities where all this happens, right?
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's,
This-
reasons behind that.
This
too.
never
I-
happens on the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
Rarely.
No matter who gets murdered
Rarely
in what
do you hear
apartment.
about it. Yeah, there's reasons for that.
LA's pretty haunted though, right?
LA? Well, yes, and more so in the hills.
In the hills.
For
Yeah,
reasons
for
that
reasons
makes sense
too,
too.
yeah.
If you live here long enough to know what I'm
You'll
talking
know,
about.
yeah, the hill part is.
Yeah,
Danny.
the hill part's pretty haunted.
What does that mean?
Just like shady, you
Yeah,
know,
just
execs
look,
fucking a
most
bunch of-
dark hauntings come from unatoned tragedies, things that are
Murders.
done that are brutal, and
Yeah.
then they get away with it. You know,
Rapes.
But in her case, the girl, back to your question.
Why'd you look at me when you said rapes?
I was just letting
Leo,
you know.
I want to replay that. Leo, Chad's like, yeah, most hauntings come from unatoned tragedies. And Leo goes, rapes.
I just wanted to let you know what kind of shit's going on up
All
there.
right, I mean,
It's hilarious.
all right, I'll think twice about the next time. Chad, so why is she not doing well? And what have
Okay,
you
so
heard?
this is what I heard. Now, remember, it wasn't my job to work with the families per se in the church. They tried to get us to come back a third time. I said the second time, I said, she doesn't want help because she has an identity right now that brings this guy to her front door. And it was very obvious to me that that was the case. And as long as that was going to be the case, she wasn't going to accept help. So they finally told her, listen, we're not coming back. Like, you've got to go through the church because they kept not wanting to do that. From what I understand, they started to go through the church. And in order to get, like, for example, the last ordained, which means publicly accepted and ordered exorcism, actually took place in Iowa, of all places. And it was in 1912. And then the church stopped making it public what they do.